Following their Week 9 win over the Tennessee Titans, the Pittsburgh Steelers had some drama, and there was definitely some concerns about tensions growing within their offense when it comes to George Pickens, Kenny Pickett, and Matt Canada. And just to be frank, somebody's going to lose here, and it's not the somebody that maybe Steelers fans want to lose. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackpine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/allsteelerstalkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they moved to 5-3 with a win over the Tennessee Titans. It's a great weekend. Steelers fans get to enjoy football because of the Thursday night game. I personally get to enjoy football because of the Thursday night game, and it was a damn good weekend for some football. There were plenty of last-minute victories and come-from-behind wins, and it was everything you wanted in a great Sunday. And luckily for the Pittsburgh Steelers and their fan base, things seem to have settled before the games took place on Sunday. But everything up until then, it was drama, and it was concern. And there were headlines involving one Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver and his quarterback and his head coach and his offensive coordinator that definitely sparked some concern within the fan base and probably within the organization. That name, obviously, is George Pickens, who went on a little bit of a social media tear following the Steelers' win over the Tennessee Titans, frankly, because he wasn't pleased with his performance and he wasn't pleased with the opportunities he was given during the ball game and likely the ball game before that. Over the last 2 weeks, George Pickens has caught a total of 3 passes for 21 yards. He had 1 reception for 22 yards and a touchdown against the Jacksonville Jaguars the week prior. In week 9, he had 2 receptions for -1 yards against the Tennessee Titans. Since then, things they haven't been great. You caught George Pickens on the sideline during the TV broadcast, visibly upset, even after Deontay Johnson scored his first touchdown in 668 days. Teammates are celebrating. Everybody's going nuts because the Pittsburgh Steelers just took a lead late in a ball game against the Titans. George Pickens is sitting around moping. He doesn't look happy at all. He actually looks aggravated. He doesn't look like he wants to be there or that he's happy. The week prior, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're talking smack all week. George Pickens lets out a little bit of smack talk himself. I think it was warranted. The Jaguars afterwards just blow him up. No, well, you had 1 reception for 22 yards. 2 of their safeties just went on a tear. I thought it was a little bit weird. I thought it was too much, to be honest with you, with Jacksonville just doubling down and tripling down on the George Pickens smack talk. Like, he's a second-year wide receiver, and he's had a successful season. I really felt like it was the easy route for the Jaguars, and at that point, you can't really respect the move. Since then, though, it feels like the downfall has started, and not in George Pickens. I fully expect George Pickens to be a superstar wide receiver in the NFL, but really, George Pickens, his relationship with the Steelers, and some drama and some tension that seems to be building. Which brings us here. Over the weekend, Friday morning, George Pickens deletes all of his social media or his Instagram posts in any relation to the Pittsburgh Steelers. If he is wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey or at a Pittsburgh Steelers football game or playing at all or representing at all the Pittsburgh Steelers, those pictures were removed from his Instagram. He also posted on his story, "Free me," which was quickly taken down, but obviously caught by many, which sparked some concern. And immediately everybody goes, yeah, that's drama. That's very worrisome. What do we do from here? Is George Pickens about to explode? Is this about to be a bigger issue? Obviously, cause for worry for the fan base, cause for worry for the team. Also, he unfollows, reportedly, this is speculation, Mike Tomlin, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Kenny Pickett. Since then, he's posted some pictures back on Instagram, especially a highlight reel of him and Kenny, and things seem to be fine. I don't know if he meant to do it, if it was, hey, this is a reset for Instagram, this is a reset for my mindset, I have to take down all these pictures, and then we'll put a couple more up as we move forward, just because I'm going with something new, I'm clearing the space, I'm trying to remove the bad energy. If that's the case, I'm all for it. I think that's a great move. I think it's a positive move. I think it could help George Pickens and the offense and everybody else. There's also the side of it that goes, yeah, somebody called him and said, hey, please put those pictures back up. This is creating headlines. This is worrisome. People are freaking out. There's no need to start this early in the season. The Steelers are winning. Let's not do this right now. Whether that was his agent, whether that was Mike Tomlin, whether that was another player or a family member or a friend or who else, who knows? That's the other scenario. And honestly, that might be the most likely one. If that is what happened, if that's where George Pickens lies in this situation, and it was meant to kind of take a jab at them and let it be known that he is frustrated and that this isn't working well and he needs the ball more, which he probably does. Unfortunately, he's not going to win this one. And in the NFL, he doesn't even stand a chance. I've been covering this team for 5 years, but I've been covering the NFL for much longer, and I've been watching the NFL my entire life. I've learned a certain set of rules, and I think everybody else has learned these rules as well. And the biggest thing, the biggest rule there is when building a football team and when a franchise is dissecting their roster and addressing issues like this one, is that there are certain positions that win you a Super Bowl. There are certain positions that do not. And I do not know if Kenny Pickett is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I do not know if Kenny Pickett is even a good quarterback at this point. Really, Kenny Pickett is the biggest question mark the Pittsburgh Steelers offense has right now, the most alarming one, the most concerning one, and honestly, probably the one that they should consider replacing if you stop the season today and said, hey, you could rebuild anywhere you want moving forward. Kenny Pickett would be the first name. A lot of people would say, hey, yeah, let's just go get something that's guaranteed. Let's stop stressing about this. Kenny Pickett, worrisome. You don't know what's going to happen here. It could go good. It could be good. It could go bad. You just don't know. But at the end of the day, the Pittsburgh Steelers have a quarterback. They used a first-round pick on that quarterback. They're not giving up on that quarterback. And they're not going to give up on him today. They're probably not going to give up on him at the end of the season. They're probably not going to give up on him anytime soon, and they're going to try as hard and as long as they possibly can before it starts just getting too much to see if this guy can click and if this can work. What they will not do is get rid of him for a wide receiver. And if this is drama, if this is a situation that is just going to get more tense and George Pickens is just going to get more frustrated and things are going to get more dramatic and headlines are going to be made because George Pickens is freaking out and he's just causing problems in the locker room, he's not going to win it. He's going to get let go, or he's going to be traded, or something's going to happen, because that's what happens in the NFL. George Pickens might be one of the best young wide receivers in football. He's got Justin Jefferson in him. He's got DK Metcalf in him. He's got a little bit of everything. And his ability to catch passes that nobody else in the league can catch is unreal. I have not seen a player do what George Pickens has done. And yeah, in the ball game's cool, but you should see what this guy does at practice. It's unreal. George Pickens is a superstar already. I've been saying that since the second he arrived in Pittsburgh, that George Pickens is one of a kind. But in the NFL, wide receivers do not win you Super Bowls. No matter how good they are, they just don't. And the Steelers know that. And they will look at this and they say, Kenny Pickett is our leader. He is our captain. He is our first-round quarterback. He is the guy that we will stand behind in a situation that brews like this one. Not going to be George Pickens. And I hope this is water under the bridge. I hope this is nothing big. I hope George Pickens, whether we all got this wrong or whether somebody called him, that this is just going to go away. I truly do. I think that that's best for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think I'm alone there. And I believe that George Pickens has had a great season and can continue to have a great season because teams are going to start looking at Deontay Johnson more and saying, oh, okay, well, yeah, this guy missed a couple of games, but he's still just as good as he was. We have to double team him as well. George Pickens will have opportunities. He will have big games. Just because he hasn't had them in the last 2 weeks doesn't mean that you got to freak out and lose your mind. But if it continues, he's not going to win this, as I've said like 5 times. The Steelers will find a way to make sure that Kenny Pickett is okay and that George Pickens is not. And that if they have to protect one side, they will protect their quarterback at all costs, because that's how the NFL works. And it will continue to work that way. It worked that way with Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown. It will work that way for every quarterback, good or bad, for the remainder of time in the NFL. That's just what happens. Again, wide receivers, as good as they are, do not win Super Bowls. They help you get there. They don't win them. Quarterbacks do. And Kenny Pickett, he's good enough right now that the Pittsburgh Steelers feel this is their guy. They got their back. There are really no questions. We haven't even gone into a press conference ever this season and even thought about asking the question, hey, would you sit Kenny Pickett? No. But if you went into a press conference today and the George Pickens drama continued and rose throughout the weekend, you would ask questions about whether or not you're going to discipline George Pickens or how you're going to handle the situation. Why? Because you will protect Kenny Pickett at all costs, and everybody understands that. And that's how it should be done, and that's how it will continue to be done. So unfortunately, George Pickens, this is a lose-lose. I think that things have to be settled in-house. I think things have to calm down. But ultimately, I think that if George Pickens is looking for attention and looking to voice his frustrations, and he's going to do it on social media, it's going to turn out poorly for his time in Pittsburgh.